Hey folks, I'm Eric and welcome to the West Coast Pop's newest series, Speed Check. Basically, every week I'm going to be reviewing, critiquing, loving, hating, talking, and watching a certain wrestling show and leaving my thoughts about it. We'll still be talking about our thoughts on the podcast, so please do check that out if that's why you listen. But this way, I thought it'll help me stay honest and watch more wrestling throughout the week. I've been slacking on it lately. So we're going to start off with the very first SmackDown Live of the new year. I hope your new year has been a great one so far. So without further ado, let's dive right in to SmackDown Live. If you include the recap package of Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens the week before, it took 7 minutes and 33 seconds before anyone who wasn't on commentary actually said anything. And that is way too long. Like, seriously, just get straight to the action. That is the definition of a slow start. Slow start, but strong promo from Roman Reigns. He might get paid by the hour, but let's face it, Roman Reigns is worth every cent because even though this was a long segment, he made it work and I give him props. The guy knows how to talk now. Just let him be him and he's going to give you a great promo. A plus for you, Roman. Putting Kevin Owens against Roman Reigns was actually a work of genius. Roman Reigns' strength has been his newfound confidence when it comes to talking, and Kevin Owens is someone who could always talk. So these two going against each other, it works perfectly. I am down for it. I love hearing what they have to say against each other. Keep it up. Ugh. WWE needs to learn to do shorter recaps. I didn't even watch the SmackDown from the week before, but still, I didn't want to see all of that this week. If I wanted to see all of the matches all the way through, I'd go back and watch it. For some reason, they need to show us most of Biggie versus Sami Zayn and Roman versus Kevin Owens. It was too much. There's this focus on the here and now. I get it. Biggie is champion. You don't need to explain to me every step of how he became champion. In all seriousness, this was actually the first thing I saw on SmackDown because I watched it late. And I don't know if that means this series is cursed or blessed. Either way, it means one or the other. I just don't know which one yet. Knights of the Lone Wolf? Is he king of the Lone Wolves? Does that make any sense? They don't care. Is he a king? Is he a wolf? Is he Wolf King, King of the Wolves? Pick a gimmick and stick with it, okay? The guy won King of the Ring like 5 years ago, it feels like. Just drop it, all right? It's done. We don't need King Corbin anymore. And let's stop calling him the Lone Wolf because the guy loves forming factions. Like, how many factions has Baron Corbin been a part of? You're not allowed to call yourself a lone wolf anymore. That's done. Game over. You like being part of a pack. And that's cool, man. Have friends. Embrace the friendship. Okay, so Biggie hits his finisher on Corbin just for Sami Zayn to run in and break it up. Like, if you guys want to give us a tag team match, you know it's your show, right? You don't have to give us a singles match that ends dirty just to give us a tag match. It's your show. Give us a tag match at the very beginning. We're cool with that. Giving us a singles match and then turn it into a tag match is just lazy. It's overdone. You guys do that way too much. So just give us a tag match. That's all you need to do. We won't judge you any harder than we already are. It's just lazy. Even more, who are you protecting when you do this? Like, Corbin doesn't need protecting. We already know who he is. We know what he's done. We don't need Corbin to be protected. All you're doing by doing that finish is hurting Big E in his new title reign. It's just very strange. It's very lazy booking. Just give us a tag match and stop doing a dirty finish that leads to a tag match. So we come back from commercial, and like I just said, Big E is teaming with Apollo Crews to face Corbin and Sami Zayn, which, again, another person Corbin is teamed up with. So again, not a lone wolf. The weird thing about this, and this is why I'm going to hit the brakes so hard, is we get the finish that we would have gotten if you'd probably just given us 2 singles matches. We would have seen Biggie beat Corbin, and we probably would have seen Apollo pin Sami. So what's the point of doing this whole singles turn tag finisher? You basically gave us 2 finishers for the price of 1.5. Only thing is, you were too lazy to just make it a tag match. That's about it, right? That's it. I actually like general managers. I like authority figures. I like anyone who keeps control of chaos in wrestling shows. So it hurts me to say that I hate Adam Pearce. At no point did they ever say, hey, Adam Pearce is in charge of everyone now. He makes the matches. He just randomly showed up one day and we were all expected to be cool with that. No, you need to go ahead, have a segment where you say, hey, by the way, Adam Pearce is general manager of everything. That's cool. You're allowed to have authority figures as long as they're not Stephanie or Triple H, because you guys ruined that to hell. Authority figures are good. William Regal is a great authority figure. You know why? Because he doesn't show up every week. He shows up when he's needed. Adam Pearce is not always needed. Yeah, that's about right. You know what, Michael Cole? I agree with you. Someone should have muted the mic, because that women's tag match of Tamina and Natalya versus the Riot Squad was way too loud. It was unbearable to listen to. I could not stand it. Sorry, I'm just getting a phone call real quick. Sorry, one second. Hello? It's ghost time! Bloody hell. I actually love that Sasha and Bianca are teaming together. Anything that helps Bianca get in the spotlight is great for her. So we all agree Carmella is just doing Emelina, right? Like, this is just Emelina, but with the clothing of Eve Marie. Because, I mean, it works, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Sasha and Bianca doing tag moves? Every week, and I mean this, every single week, I'm going to pump the brakes, because WWE will shamelessly, and they do this so constantly, I can't stand it. It gets me so angry. They will pump in fake crowd noises, and they'll tell their Thunderdome people, their captives, to react a certain way. I can't stand it. If your product is not good enough to warrant a genuine reaction out of people, then maybe you should make a better product. You know, AEW found a way to still make the product lively. They had wrestlers on the side who, of course, they told them to act a certain way. But you think those wrestlers weren't having fun at the same time? They weren't forced to be there for hours to react to something fakely. They didn't have to pump in sound effects. I don't think AEW ever did that. I think AEW went with silence, or they were genuine. So every week that WWE continues to pump in these fake chants, the fake cheers, the fake boos, I'm going to drop their speed, because that is just shameless. This was Cirque du Soleil stuff. According to Michael Cole, this was Cirque du Soleil. Michael Cole, I've got news for you, buddy. That is called a backwards roll. Every wrestler, myself included, my out of shape Huff and Puff, my out of shape. It's week 1, guys. Even my out of shape Huff and Puff to the kitchen self could do this backwards roll. It's literally the first thing they teach you when you enter wrestling school. All I'm gonna say is, Michael Cole, you should know better than that. Come on, man. You know better than that. Carmella pins Sasha with help from Reginald. And you know what? I've got no problem with that. This is the first SmackDown I've watched in a while, but from what I've heard, Sasha and Carmella have been doing a pretty decent job. So if they want to continue with Carmella, then I'm down with that. I'm cool for watching them doing another match, another pay-per-view match. So have at it. At Royal Rumble, Sasha versus Carmella, I'm down. I'm ready to see what they got. This segment was just Reigns being a badass. That's all it was. Roman Reigns was an absolute badass. There is no other way to describe it. I approve. Roman, you're doing great. If you need anything from me, let me know, because you've entertained me so well. I will go on Amazon and I will shop off your wish list. Just hit me up, Roman. Hit me up. Head of the table, Island Chief. If Paul Heyman can't do it, if Jey Uso can't do it, hit me up. Are those mini red cups? I'm confused. I've never seen that before. Who drinks out of those? Hornswoggle? Oh my gosh. This, I just want to say, as hard of a year, we've all had a terrible year. Sonya Deville has had a rough year. If you guys remember, her 2020 was basically somebody breaking into her home and trying to kidnap her. That was her year. Someone legit tried to break into her home. They hid in her home and they waited till she fell asleep. I don't even know if she fell asleep yet, but they waited for her to fall asleep and kidnap her. To Sonya Deville, you have my respect. You have my admiration. Before any of that happened, Sonya was on her way to becoming the top of the women's division. So just for the fact that we get to see her back, I own those exact same glasses. When Montez Ford wears them, he's cool, he's hip. But when I wear them, the kids at the local grade school gang up on me to teach me street justice. Dawkins playing the drums and Montez Ford talking. This segment is exactly why these two men will never have to look for another job again. They are entertaining, they are fun to watch. They have a career in WWE as long as they stay healthy for the rest of their lives. Respect. Speaking of street justice, that is exactly what Robert Roode and Ziggles tried to do. They came out, they attacked the Street Profits, and you know what? I think this might have been, I'm not going to say the second best segment of the night. I'm going to say this was the second best segment because it hit all the right notes. You had some fun with the Street Profits, and then the Dirty Dogs, as they call themselves, came out and they did some street justice. So you know what? You melted my cold, cold heart. And then things keep going up as Ziggles and Roode gave a promo that reminds you just how good they are. Because honestly, I think sometimes we forget just how good Ziggles and Roode really are. They are very talented. They're very fun to watch. Even though we don't have the same glorious Bobby Roode that we love, he's still pretty damn good. So I'm glad to see them working together. And honestly, I personally am rooting for them to become the next tag team champions. I'm conflicted right now because I want to hit the brakes because I hate Otis, but I love Daniel Bryan. So you see the conundrum I'm in, right? I honestly planned on only doing this once. I really did, once a week. But if you guys watch SmackDown and you heard all the yes chants, that is a pure example of what I mean when I say they shamelessly pump in crowd noises. That yes chant was louder than any WrestleMania, and we both know, you and I know in your heart of hearts, as I stare you down in this webcam, we both know nobody that night was cheering for Daniel Bryan that hard. Does he deserve that much cheers? Yes, he does. He's an amazing father, an amazing man, an amazing wrestler, but nobody in the world was cheering for Daniel Bryan that hard. It was shameless, and for that, hit the brakes. I tried really hard. Like, I tried so hard. You guys have no idea how hard I tried to write a segment for this, to write an entry for this segment. This segment is messing with my brain. But how do I explain what happened here? Daniel Bryan is trying to train his hips by trying to lift Otis from a German position, and it's a weird segment. It's a very weird segment. The only saving grace is you can tell Daniel Bryan probably wrote this segment because he was all in for it, but it was a very strange segment that the best way to describe it is it's a segment that Vince McMahon was probably laughing at. That's the best way I can describe it. If Vince McMahon is laughing at it, then you know in some way a child is also laughing at it somewhere. Respect to Cesaro and Daniel Bryan. They were both wearing the Brody armband on their arm, clear for everyone to see. If there was anyone else in WWE this night who had the armband, I missed it. But Cesaro and Daniel Bryan, class acts. Rest in peace, Brody. We miss you every single day. Oh, I get it. It's Royal Rumble season. So that explains why Cesaro threw Daniel Bryan over the top rope. And then Shinsuke tried to throw Daniel Bryan over the top rope. And then instead, Daniel threw Shinsuke over the top rope, like a Royal Rumble match. I guarantee you, give it time, over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see over 200 people. I'm counting it, 200 people. I don't know why I went with that number, but I'm sticking with it. 200 people are going to go over that top rope before the Battle Royal, starting now. And yes, I include Daniel Bryan and Shinsuke. So that's already 2. So that means over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see 198 people go over the top rope. Keep count. Is it weird that I hate the caterpillar, but I love the worm? Because the caterpillar makes more sense. Like, it's a move where the big guy is doing an elbow drop. That actually hurts. The worm was just Sky Too Hottie, and forgive me, my green screen is gonna flip out if I do this, but the worm was Sky Too Hottie just doing that. That's all the worm was, yet I marked out for that. It's unexplainable. I can't explain it. Henceforth, it's unexplainable. Even though Otis was there, I will gladly take Daniel Bryan versus Shinsuke or Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro. It was a good win for the faces, a nice clean match that ultimately means nothing, just hype for the Royal Rumble. And as I'm going to get to later, this, in my opinion, should have been the main event match. Not the main event segment, the main event match. I wasn't going to mention this the first time, but this is just something that irks me about WWE's timing. So every other commercial break before this moment, the matches resumed like normal. Everything happened as if they were happening through the commercial break. But you're telling me that because it's the main event, you went to commercial and Kevin Owens is still waiting for Jey Uso? Almost as if those other matches have less importance. Almost as if you're saying that when you cut to commercial, the match that you cut away from has less significance. Oh. Remember this for later. These words came out of the mouth of Kevin Owens. You're going to pay, and the worst part is, it's not even your own goddamn fault. Wow. I can honestly say the best thing about Roman Reigns' return, in my opinion, is the fact that most of the best lines in this feud have been said in the ring, not like in a promo, not in a segment. They've been in matches. I don't know if they're preparing them beforehand or if Roman Reigns, Jey, and Kevin Owens are just that good, but props off to them. I don't think there's ever been a time besides maybe I'm Sorry, I Love You from Shawn Michaels, where you could look back and say, wow, the best line of a feud was said during a match. Props to those three. Hey, so remember that thing I said about commercials taking away importance from matches? So, funny thing, it turns out we actually went to another commercial during this match, but instead of us, coming back as if nothing happened, we actually came back at the exact ending of the match. That's right, you missed the entire match. You literally only saw the beginning and the finish, which tells me this match meant nothing. This match was not important. Your main event was pointless. But Eric, you have to have a main event. What are you gonna do if you don't have a main event? Simple, you do what they used to do. You have yourself a segment. You don't need to have a match as your last segment. That is why Daniel Bryan and Otis, as much as it pains me to give Otis the spotlight, should have been the main event. Instead, you have Kevin Owens deliver some street justice to good old-fashioned Jey. He goes, that's the whole segment. It's just Kevin Owens beating the shit out of Jey Uso in like a street fight. And you do everything that happened in this match. He could fight Jey in the back, he could bring him out to the ring, he could destroy him, and then Roman could come save Jey. Why give us a match? It's just lazy. It's just your way of saying, okay, we need to have Kevin beat up Jay, but we don't know how else to do that besides a match. So let's just give them a match that means nothing. It means nothing. Yeah, that's the whole rant. It means nothing. So kind of finished my rant there. Kind of finished the whole rant. I kind of timed myself longer, so now we just have time. Ironically, now would be a good time to cut to commercial, but we don't have that. So hey, you know what's pretty cool? That thing, picture in picture, JR is always talking about. Roman, come take care of your family, bitch. Well said, sir. Well said indeed, Kevin Owens. And once again, I'm going to hit the brakes because whoever is WWE's A1, for those of you who didn't waste 2 years at community college like I did taking TV and film classes, the A1 is the person in charge of audio. So whoever that person was, they had to constantly and annoyingly so mute the shameless, remember that kids, it was downright shameless crowd noises that they pumped in so that you could hear Kevin Owens trash talk. And it was absolutely infuriating how bad quality the mutes were. Like, it was very bad. It's almost like you could hear him sliding down the mixer. I just don't understand, you know? Like, you're a $1 billion company. You know, my green screen is terrible because I've got like $20 in my pocket. You should be able to handle that because you've got $20 in everyone's pockets. I don't know, that's a bad analogy, but the point is, fix your production. It's bad. I should have said they have $20 billion in their pockets. That analogy would have worked. That one didn't make sense. $20 in everyone's pocket. I don't know. It's the first episode. Give me a break. So despite my many critiques of this match, actually was a pretty good ending. It makes sense, you know? Like, I don't think the actions were wrong. I don't think what happened was wrong. I think the way they went about it was wrong. I don't think they needed a match to have Kevin Owens beat up Jey Uso just to be beat up by Roman Reigns. I think you could have done that without a match. You could have done that without wasting my time. You could have done that without lying to us about a match. I just don't know. Like, I get commercials are hard to manage on television. I don't know if they have to fulfill a certain amount of time, but just plan your commercials better. If you're not going to give us a real match and you have to have a commercial, then just have a street fight segment that's not a match. That's my only qualm with this ending segment. Everything else was great. Everything that happened in the match was great. It went by the book of how it should have ended, with Jey Uso getting beaten up by Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens looks strong. Kevin Owens calling out Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns thus comes out, and because he's the head of the table, because he's the tribal chief, because it's a new year, but he still runs the place, he beats up Kevin Owens. That makes perfect sense. And that's my problem with WWE, is when they're bad, they should be good. And when they're good, they should be better. Like Eric Clapton said, it's all in the way that you use it. And that's all for SmackDown on this New Year's edition. It was actually a pretty good show. This is my first SmackDown back because I stopped watching main roster. I actually stopped watching NXT for a while too. I think WWE as a whole just burnt me out. But for the first show of the new year, my first show back, let's take a look. Sped across the finish line at record speed. Good show. And I hope you can say the same for this. This was just the first episode of our speed check. You will probably see me next on our next episode of the POPCast, and then I will try to do another one of these speed checks for Monday Night Raw. Please leave your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what wrestling show do you think I should check out. I know I'm going to check out AEW because that is still my favorite show of the week. I'd love to do NXT UK, maybe a short show. But if there's any indie shows you guys want me to check out, let me know. And with that, please be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe if you like the show. And with that, peace.